on we go.
Right, we are live. Let the viewers build up. Whilst the viewers build up, we'll have a quick chat. Let me just quickly run the intro. I'll tell you what, do you want to do the intro today? How about that? You do the intro and then I'll back you up.
I have to do the intro.
Well, if you want, I'm just saying, do you want to do the intro? If
I
do
don't
the
mind.
intro.
I don't mind doing the intro. I'm just saying it's kind of not really my job. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Disqualified Dads. Your hosts this evening are Coach Farouk, a regular front of house for this broadcast, and joining him this evening is his sidekick, and some would say his equal, which is myself, that family law guy. We are here to talk to you about the world of family law, about the world of family court, about the jungle that is the family court, and to explore the theatre that is the family court. Another week has passed. We are on episode, I don't know, about 58, 59, I don't know, something like that. So we're in the upper 50s in terms of the number of times that we have presented ourselves in front of you. We endeavour to do it consistently. We endeavour to make ourselves available. And away we go with another one. So good evening all. Welcome to Sunday. What is it? The 17th. Welcome to Sunday, the 17th of August, 2025. The world is alive. Not all of us are in Alaska. We're here.
Yes, guys, welcome to another episode 58 with myself and Mr. Ryan, that family law guy. Episode 58, and this is just so you guys are aware, we now do streams between 8:30 and 9:30. So we have this 1 hour stream dedicated to helping you through your family court journey. So bring your questions. But before we jump onto the question, let's just have a little catch up with Mr. Ryan. Mr. Ryan, what's been going on? Where you been? What's happening?
It's been a very busy. I'm tired today, man. You know, I'm tired. Some days it catches up with me. The problem is when you plow through it 7 days a week, is at some point it catches up with you, and it's catching up with me today. It's been what's it been this week? It's been an interesting week. It's been quite a diverse week. We've been dipping our toes into the world of divorce. We've had a little run around in the world of child matters. We've had a little dabble. What have we done this week? Yeah, we've had a little dabble into the world of trying to restore some contact between some children and their parents. So it's been okay. Actually, I must comment on this. Somebody bleeped me this week, and it doesn't matter who they are, but somebody bleeped me this week and said, "Why is it that you always refer to judges as he and him?" I didn't realise that I did, to be perfectly honest, because I endeavour to be, when I'm chatting on here, and indeed on all the broadcasts that I do across these platforms, I endeavour to be fairly balanced in my view. So, you know, if I say he or him in reference to a judge, please do assume that I also mean that there are female judges and some excellent female judges, might I say, just as there are some excellent male judges. So a judge can be a man, a judge can be a woman, a judge can be somewhere in between. And just because I refer to he doesn't mean that I'm not referring to her as well. And the other thing that I'll say, and I think we say this in some form or fashion every week, is obviously the opinions we express on here aren't necessarily the formal opinions of the family court. They aren't necessarily the opinions of Disqualified Dads, or indeed the opinions of Mackenzie Picard, which is my practice. But we are in open forum. We're chatting. We can't control what people ask. We can't control what people say. We simply allow people to have that freedom of speech.
Absolutely, yes. I just want to say, Mr. Ryan, because a question has popped up into my head with what you're saying. So, you know, you said sometimes it catches up with you. You're at it 7 days a week. I know how it is. I've been sometimes myself, I've been known in the past to be at it 7 days and nights a week. You know, I was known as the SAS who dares back to back, just go out into the trenches. I was that guy. So, do you not ever have a line, or some mornings does it not catch up with you, like where you just can't control it, or an afternoon do you have a little power nap? Or
no, my day, 7 days a week, I get up between 4 and 5 a.m. out of habit. Not particularly because I want to, but out of habit. Between 4 and 5 a.m. and then within half an hour, 35 minutes, I'm in the office, because my office is only a 10-minute drive away from my home. So within half an hour, 40 minutes, I'm in the office, and away we go. the day starts. And I do that out of habit 7 days a week. Tomorrow will be a little bit different because tomorrow I've got to be in London at 8 a.m. So I will head out in the morning and tear off down to London because I'm in the Royal Courts of Justice tomorrow. So
were you training it or driving?
I'm going to do a bit of a half and half, actually. Normally I drive, as you know. I tend to drive everywhere because I think the trains are garbage. But tomorrow I'm going to do a bit of a half and half. So I'm going to drive to Milton Keynes, and then I'm going to get a train in from Milton Keynes, and then obviously a train back out again. That just saves me having to do that whole battling through the middle of town, which is just horrible.
Yes, fair enough. Fair enough. I understand. Also, guys, another point I want to highlight again that on this broadcast, as you know, we try and focus on the positives, we try and focus on the solutions, and we try not to focus too much on the problems. We all know what the problems are, and as you guys are aware, Mr. Ryan highlighted that obviously we may not necessarily represent the opinions of the family court or disqualified dads or the family law guy. And just bear in mind, Mr. Ryan works in the front line in the family courts, supporting predominantly, I think 90% of the non-resident parent, which happens to be fathers, along with some mothers as well. Now, he's in the front line, he's in the courts, his social media work has been brought up in court previously, so he has to make sure he presents himself in a professional manner at all times. Hence, we focus on the solutions, not the problems. And also, Mr. Ryan, I have to say, you are quite balanced. On stream, I have noticed you are generally very balanced. I have noticed that. I can vouch for that.
No, I do. I endeavour to be balanced. Well, I am balanced. I'm balancing what it is we do, because you're right that we do look after dads and mums in this practice, and always will we look after dads and mums in this practice. And so, whilst I appreciate that the focus most of the focus of our attention on this particular stream is talking around dads, and that's fine. That's great. But I endeavour to just make sure that we find some balance once in a while.
Yep. All right, guys. Shall we dive in, Mr. Ryan? Jump on to
it? Let the day or the evening begin.
Right, Mr. Strader. Hi, guys. Hope you guys have been keeping well. Been a while. Hope everyone has been keeping well. Been a while, bro. We've been here every week. That means you ain't been here. That means you ain't been following along or watching along live. But yes, we're good. We're here. Streams are between 8:30 and 9:30 now. We trim it down to an hour in and out because I noticed the peak engagement is between 8:30 and 9:30. Hence, that's what we do. Also, I've noticed these last few weeks, I've not been getting around to putting it on the Instagram story, and I've not been advertising the streams as much, and I'm not sharing them to any groups. I'm just trying to gauge like how many people tune in raw without us pushing it out. And I have noticed there's a drop in engagement, but it fluctuates. It fluctuates between 8:30 and 9:30. It does fluctuate up to the usual 25, 30, from under 10 to up to 30. So we're keeping an eye on it. But yeah, we're still here. We're still here. We're chipping away. Evening, gents. Hope all is well. Yep, all is good, my brother. Thank you for joining. Right, Mr. Cossack. Evening, gents. Quick one for Dan. I've approached X for an additional overnight, and she refused on the basis my daughter, who's 8, still shares a bed with me. A proper bed is provided, but she still prefers to be with me for now. Is that reasonable grounds to refuse a further overnight? This is a very good and a sensitive question.
It is. Yeah. That is a good choice of word. This is a very sensitive question that causes something of a divided opinion, actually. I have this question quite often where children choose to obviously share their parents' beds for whatever reason. And I have absolutely no issue with it because, that's your parent, for goodness sake. That's your dad, that's your mum, and you're closer to them than you are to anybody else on the planet. But unfortunately, and let's be real about this, unfortunately, there is an opportunity to put a sinister twist, and I'm going to use that phrase, to put a sinister twist on this. And one parent can use this scenario in court and parade it around and just without directly saying it, just provide this undercurrent that says there's something not right about this. that my daughter is choosing to, share a bed with her dad. And that's usually where this situation goes. Is it reasonable grounds to refuse a further overnight? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I'm all I'm saying is really just sort of pick up on the tone that I'm offering, which is it is a very sensitive subject, and it can become incredibly ugly very quickly. I've had one in the past where the child, because she was not used to being at dad's house, because she was only at dad's house every other weekend, so she was, she was an anxious child, and so she was more comfortable sleeping in with dad, and that's fine. That's no issue. That's great. No issue with that. But the mother took it into court and raised it in court and said that it was not the child's choice to be in with dad. It was dad's choice for the little girl to be in with him. And that just led off a firework, and the world went mad for a while until we got some common sense back in the room. So caution. It's absolutely not reasonable grounds to refuse an overnight, but be sensitive to everything that I've just not said.
Yeah, I think the thing is this, look, why take the risk? Why give them any ammo, especially sensitive ammo like that, which can be used against you? That's bottom line. It's not worth giving them that ammunition. And I think this highlights the point that once you enter the system, unfortunately, what happens is you being with your children, you're not comfortable in your own skin as a parent or a father. And it must be horrible. It must be horrible not being comfortable in your own skin as a parent around your children, ultimately. So I do acknowledge that. But yes, don't give them unnecessary ammo. Eyes on the prize. Look at the long-term goal. Look at the greater end result that you want. You focus on that. Right, Mr. Stray Dad, need some tips for my section 7, please. Been away doing courses. Unfortunately, one was on Sunday evenings, hence why I ain't tuned in for a while. But any tips, please? You're taking courses on a Sunday evening. Blood, this is the only course you should be on Sunday evening.
No,
doesn't matter.
No commitment.
Let it go. Right, none of the courses have been ordered. I've self-referred. And I remember us talking about this a few weeks ago, or at some point anyway, that this could be a pointless exercise if I'm correct. If I remember the conversation correctly, this may even backfire potentially in a second. Am I correct in saying that?
You are correct. Let's tackle the two issues. So let's tackle courses for a start, and then we'll go back to the section 7. I think we've got a little bit of time to play with, so let's do this. Okay, courses. I appreciate the fact that sometimes parents who think they're on the bit of a back foot in family court decide to take on some courses, do some parenting courses, do some better myself courses, and that's great. The principle is absolutely sound. But here's the problem. You may go off and do a fantastic course, in your opinion, get back in court and you say to them, I did this course. And then the court says, well, what was it? Well, it was this course. It was called ABC, Better Dads. And they go, well, that's great. This court doesn't recognize ABC Better Dads. We've got no idea who it's accredited by. We've got absolutely no idea what the prospectus is. Consequently, it's about as much value as you coming here with a chocolate fire guard. So that was a waste of your time and money. It is the world of parenting courses and self-help courses and better myself courses is a minefield in family court. There are a couple of courses that family court quite likes, that they often recommend time and time again. CAFCASS will recommend, so they are a bit of a safe space to go to. One of them is called Triple P. You can find it if you just surf Triple P, as in triple the word and then P the letter. If you surf Triple P on the internet, you will find access to a website called Triple P, which is full of parenting courses. CAFCASS love the Triple P website. Big fan of it. They use it a lot. If you tell them you've done more of a Triple P course, they're comfortable with that. They quite like that. The problem we have is that people go to these online colleges, online academies, where it says, learn to be a better parent by spending the next 25 minutes watching a series of slides. And then for £12.99, you can download the certificate that says, I did Better Parenting Stage 1. They're just not worth spit. So you need to be awfully careful about when you're doing courses. People who want to do courses, you're welcome to contact me, and I will sort of give you a pointer as to what is and what isn't a good thing to do in terms of courses, because I don't want people, I appreciate the principle, I appreciate the idea, but I don't want people wasting their time. So that's the world of course. But going back to the original question, obviously, was about a Section 7. So I assume you've got your Section 7 interview coming up with a CAFCASS officer. Okay, first rule of a Section 7 interview, honesty. If you don't have honesty, then you really have got nothing. Secondly, be aware of what it is that you are trying to achieve in terms of your relationship with your children. Don't be vague. They are going to ask you what you're trying to do. What would you like? So offer something out that is reasonable and achievable. If you are currently getting no contact whatsoever, for whatever reason, and the CAFCASS officer says, what would you like? And you say, I'd like the children to come and live with me. At that point, the CAFCASS officer is going to dismiss you, because they are just worlds apart, those two positions. You need to demonstrate that you understand that there is a period of progress, and you offer something that is the next sensible step. I'm currently getting nothing. I would like to get into a contact centre and have some supervised contact. I would like to get into the community with an independent social worker shadowing me with the children. So something that is reasonable. So that's the first thing in terms of Section 7. Be honest and have in your mind what it is you're trying to achieve. Another tip for Section 7, do not spend the entire interview ripping holes in the other side, because that will achieve absolutely nothing. All you will get is, when you read the report, which you will eagerly wait for to arrive on your computer or on your doorstep, it will say, this parent is malicious, this parent is aggressive, this parent is unreasonable, this parent is incapable of co-parenting, this parent is incapable of recognizing the needs of the child, because you attacked the other parent. So just don't do it. Whatever your level of animosity or acrimony is towards the other parent, the Section 7 interview is not the place to share it. The Section 7 interview is you saying to CAFCASS, look at me, I'm a reasonable parent. All I actually want to do is be dad or be mum to my child and be able to have a wholesome relationship with them. That is all I want to do. And I'm happy to take tips and advice from you, Mr. or Mrs. CAFCASS officer, as to what it is I should be doing in the interim. We're back to courses again. But I just want to be a parent to my child. That is all I want. And you need to take that very reasonable stance, because if you don't, it is going to backfire on you.
Yeah, I think Mr. Ryan explained that in good depth. And just on another note, I mean, when is our course coming out? I mean, are we going to add can we build that course which is then recognized by CAFCASS?
The plan is, we're talking about Family Court Mastery now, folks. There you go, just over Farouk's head. There it is, Family Court Mastery. And Family Court Mastery, as we've said before, is a series of modules, and there are multiple modules that allow you to get through family court essentially on your own, if you wish to do so, without any involvement from a legal professional at all. That's what it's designed to do. Now, I have to say, just because this is the way I think, I keep adding modules to it all the time, and I keep adding new elements to it about what you should be thinking about. And one of them, funny enough, I did the other day was, what do you do when you decide you want to better yourself with parenting courses? What do I do? That's a little 5-minute run that we did the other day. My view is that I think we said that the original batch of modules will come out in October. I stand by that comment. Then I think a second batch will come out in November, and then we will tidy up any loose ends that we've got in December. That is my view. As to where all that is going to go. Then, in terms of a course that is recognized by CAFCASS, It also needs to be recognised by an agency called Respect. And Respect is an accreditation agency that Cafcass likes. And they currently accredit, not enough, but they currently accredit domestic abuse programs. And the Family Court is keen on, let's go on a domestic abuse program. Let's fire mum off or dad off on a domestic abuse program. The problem is they're awfully difficult to find currently. So yes, we do have a plan that after the mainstream course is out, after the sort of mastery phase 1, if you like, is out, we will then start to work on with respect, rather than with respect, but with respect. We will then start to work on a accredited course, or a course that we will offer up for accreditation on the whole issue of domestic abuse. And where our course will differ, so it might take a little longer, is there are currently I'll repeat that, there are currently no domestic abuse courses for perpetrators, for abusers who are women. There are currently none, because we do not recognise the fact that women can be abusers and the perpetrators of domestic abuse. So there is not a single course. So the course that we will create will have an element for dads and an element for mums, because there are, unfortunately, domestic abuse, is not gender specific. It's not always dad on mum. It can be mum on dad, and we need to recognise that.
Yes, good stuff, guys. Can't wait. Exciting few months ahead, all the way till December. I think I cannot wait.
All right, yes, the next few months are very, very busy, because I say we've got the course coming out, there's a book coming out, and yes, so the next few months are very busy.
Just a quick question on that again, though. Yeah, one more thing just to touch on. So, if we create this some form of a domestic abusers course, right? Yeah. I mean, what is the process of it getting recognised by this organisation? Is it Respect that you say, Respect and Cafcass? Is there a process that we need to go through?
There is an accreditation process, and essentially what they're looking for is to understand what is in your course, and how your course has been built, i.e., who has contributed to your course. So we're already 2 steps ahead of that, and obviously the legal elements of our course will be built by me. With obviously the legal guys in my team, so with the solicitors and the barristers who are in our team. Nice. The psychological elements, because it has to have some psychological therapy element in it, that is going to be built by a psychologist that I've partnered with, who is going to work with us on dealing with the modules that have to have a psychological element. And then what we've also done, which will make our course fairly unique, is I've now also partnered with a child therapist. A therapist who works specifically with children who have been victims of abuse, whatever abuse that may be. And he is going to work with us, and we're going to put in some modules that talk to, be it dad or be it mum, whoever's sitting the course, that talk to them about the impact on your children of your actions.
Wow, so this is covered all angles, really. Wow, that's quite impressive. All right, can't wait. Well impressed. Looking forward to it. Right, Mr. Cossack, this is all post final order over a year ago, by the way. Yes, I think the point will still stand ultimately, because she's already said this to you. Do you see what I mean? You've asked for one more night. She's already stated that ultimately. So she's brought that back into the arena, that sensitive statement.
We're back. I think we're back. I think was it last week, the week before, where we were talking about having to revisit family court, a year or 18 months later to try and get your final order progressed, because family court is fairly naive in that it thinks that it puts a final order in place and then the court doors shut and we all get on with our lives, and mum and dad suddenly become incredibly reasonable with each other and start to agree stuff, because why would that? Because obviously they've never done before, but they will now, because we're now on the right side of court. The reality is that doesn't happen. And so we end up going back to court in order to argue, variations on the order, changes to the order, progressions on the order.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Mr. Schrader, thanks guys. Yep, you're welcome. Right, we've got our old visitor come back, Mr. Eamon. Hey guys, hope you're well. I went to court a couple of weeks ago. I was waiting for the Scott schedule of allegations and witness statement. They told her to send it, but she said that she printed it off and sent it to the court in paperwork. The judge was not impressed. Is this a common delay tactic?
Yes, I mean, people do strange things, very strange things. And the thing that always sort of bemuses me is that people do stuff to try and slow the process in family court or obstruct the process in family court. And they're convinced that they're so clever that they're the first person who's ever done it. It's that classic, the dog has eaten my homework, isn't it? You walk into school and you say, oh, the dog ate my homework, and you think you're the first person ever to have offered up that excuse. You're not. Hundreds of thousands of people have offered it before you, and none of them were believed either. And so when you say to the court, I printed it off and I sent it to the court using Royal Mail, or using DPD, then the court is going to say, well, what did you do that for? And they're not going to be impressed. They're going to be thoroughly unimpressed. But the onus is on you when you're making submissions to court. When you're submitting statements or applications or whatever it might be. The onus is on you to get the document to court. The onus is not on court to receive it.
Right. It follows up with, also, judge tried to pressure me to go ahead with next hearing in 2 weeks, but I refused. I explained I had no time to counter. Was that a smart move or not?
No, actually, I agree with you, Eamon. I agree with you. I think don't be pressured by the court. The court is looking to move the matter on. It's not your fault that you are currently stuck in the mud. And so, no, do not be pressured into shortening your window of engaging with this court purely because mother or the other partner has tried to lengthen theirs. So no, absolutely the right stance by you. I would have taken the same view.
Yeah, well done, Eamon. Smart move. Well done. Right, Mr. Schrader, Daniel, we'll give you a call to catch up soon. Keep you updated. Thanks, guys. No worries. You're welcome.
Yeah. Catch you soon.
Follow up from Cossip. Spoke to a lovely guy called David Eggins a few years back about DV courses as he ran a company that used to run them. He's retired now and passed the business over, but he said what a farce it was. I think, Cossip, it comes down to the aspect of strategically playing the game. Now, as I said, if that's in some cases a hurdle that you just need to get over, get on with your life, to get on with the relationship with your children, have contact with your children, or just to use as a strategic move to say, Judge, look, I didn't do it, but I went on the course anyway. Here we go. I'm a better person now already, and I've learned a few things. From a strategic perspective, it is just a chess move. That's all it is. Yeah, we know the mechanisms of the system, and they're not always great. They don't always work. They're not always fair. We're only working with the pieces we've got, with the cards we've been dealt with ultimately. So you got to look at it like that.
And in terms of just jump in about David, in fact, I know David very well. David runs an organisation called Temper, which is a domestic violence retraining forum. It's a very good course. It's got a lot of substance to it that I like. David is still in the game. I was myself and Dave were engaged in a case together a few months ago. So yeah, David is very much still in the game.
Is he like a well-known person in the circuit sort of thing?
Say again.
Is he a well-known character in this space?
Well, Temper. The course Temper domestic violence is very well known in family court, mainly, and David won't mind me saying this, mainly because David is not very popular with Cafcass. because he's quite forthright in his views, and I agree with a sizable amount of his views, but he's quite forthright in his views. He's not one to sort of back down, and so as I say, so that doesn't help in terms of his relationship with some parts of the family court. But as I say, his organisation is committed. I like what he stands for. So yeah, good guy.
Oh, good stuff. Right, Mr. Amp, I have proof of mother threatening to take my kids away and then carrying out her threat. Is this not DA towards me, and why do the courts not recognize this? It's mad as I supervise when it should be her. It's mad as I am supervised when it should be her.
This is the reality of primary carer status in family court. When you secure primary carer status, you are almost untouchable. You are almost untouchable. And whatever you do, which would have been reviewed as domestic abuse or inappropriate or misconduct, had the other parent done it, as the primary carer, there is a freedom to get away with stuff.
Yes. See, if you're a resident parent, as we've always said, you control the game. You're in charge of the game. It's like a Squid Games. You're the operators. The resident parent, you're the operator of the Squid Games. And the non-resident parent is the guy taking part in the game. You're at risk at every step. You're at risk at every game and every step of being eliminated. That's how it is. Family court is like Squid Games, and us non-resident parents, us fathers, are just we're just making up the numbers. We're just taking part. We could be eliminated at any step.
That's true, but I don't like seafood, so I wouldn't take part in that game.
Tell me you've seen Squid Games. Have you seen Squid Games?
I can say without fear of contradiction, no. And I can also say without fear of contradiction that I don't own a television set, so no.
It's on Netflix. You can watch it on your computer. It's not on television. No one watches television these days.
My computer is occupied 24 hours a day with client cases, which is where the priority is.
You have to watch Squid Games. My God, man. I watched season 2 recently. It was crazy. It was crazy. Anyway. Mr. S, hello. Is it normal for the ex-wife to block all avenues of communication, only have her brother to go through? Yeah, listen. First, I'll give the first easy answer to that. It is very normal for the ex-wife to block all avenues of communication, but the fact is she hasn't. The fact that you're communicating through her brother means she hasn't blocked all avenues of communication, has she? If you didn't even have her brother to go through, means you'd have no avenues of communication. This is an avenue of communication. So I would say, make the most of it. Try and get along with the ex-brother-in-law. And especially if you're arranging child contact through him. Actually, you know what? This is actually really good. Think about this. You're dealing with the ex-brother-in-law. If he's a level-headed guy, he will come, stick to business, will communicate without any emotion. It might be easier to communicate with him than the ex-wife, I think. I mean, what do you reckon?
Yeah, there's a logic to that, actually. There is a logic. Obviously, depending on the relationship you've got with the brother, you might actually fare better because you say you are doing sort of reasonable bloke to reasonable bloke. So you might actually fare better. And it does remove all of the tension and it removes all the acrimony, dependent obviously on your relationship with the brother. But it does remove a lot of the issues in order that you can communicate on as a fairly level-headed way. So, yeah, that may work for you. That may work for you.
Well, I got a comment from Stray Dad to Cossack. He ain't retired, buddy. David Eggins ran the course I did. It's called Temper Domestic Violence. It's respect credited, also done respect ed BCP program and some talking therapy. Man, you have been busy. Flip it out.
There we go. So there we go. You see, I told you Dave's still in the game.
Yeah, Dave is clearly still out and about, still running. I might go online, check this course out, see what the crack is. Yeah, man. Tell Dave's got competition.
Yeah, he's all right. I like Dave. Nice. He's been doing it for years and years. So.
Right, guys, that's all the questions ironed out, buttoned up. Listen, might be an early night tonight. Flipping out. Bit of luck. I just wanted to ask, did anyone watch the boxing last night? Otomo, Moses, Otomo, and Dylan White.
No.
First round KO. Listen, this is the
Really?
first round KO. And this guy has done first round KOs of, I think, all of his fights, all of his pro fights. This is the Mike Tyson of today. This is big news. This is really, the boxing circuit is buzzing. This guy is the modern day Mike Tyson. He's been compared with Mike Tyson. Yeah, he's big.
He's a knockout specialist.
Yeah, he's big. He's fast. He's got feet. He's got hands. He's got IQ. He can talk. I just want to say also, in his press conference, in the pre-fight press conference, guess what book he mentioned? He mentioned a quote out of a book, and guess which book it was? 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Play the sheep to catch the wolf. He cited that quote from 48 Laws of Power. Guy in his 20s, heavyweight boxer, quoting 48 Laws of Power, mate. I think he's made it. He's there.
He's probably working. Well, not probably. He is undoubtedly somewhere in his team, in his training crew. He will be working with a sports psychologist. And a guy I know up in Liverpool is a sports psychologist, and he works with Liverpool Football Club. And so his job essentially is to wind them up into a frenzy before a game, for them to then go out and think, well, that's it. There's nobody who can touch us. We're absolutely unbeatable. Away we go and do the do. And he clearly does it very well with Liverpool because they're pretty good at what they do. But yeah, he's an interesting character. I've known him for years, and he's an interesting character. As I say, so undoubtedly this boxer will have a sports psychologist working with him whose role is just to say, you are unbeatable.
Yeah, basically, it's like a coach. Look, in theory, like in coaching, you could run like an NLP technique to plant that seed in someone's subconscious, ultimately. I mean, yeah, it's like an NLP technique you could run on that. Yeah, I think that's quite.
It is NLP. Yeah, so there are undoubtedly elements of NLP in there. Neuro-linguistic programming, for those of you who aren't familiar with that acronym. So there are undoubtedly elements in that, and we use elements of NLP and various other systems when we prepare people for court. When I prepare people for cross-examination, particularly if I know they're going to get a hard time, then yeah, we spend a lot of time drawing down on principles like NLP practice and one or two other sports psychologists. You are king of the hill. You are the one. Just keep telling yourself, and affirmation and etc. etc. We use that a lot with prepping people for cross-examination, because cross-examination is, in terms of family court, is arguably the most difficult thing you're going to do in family court, because you're on your own. There's nobody else. You can't refer to anybody. You can't get anybody else's advice. I'm sat in the room. You can't even speak to me. You can't even look at me. So you are on your own, facing the world. And so, we spend a lot of time prepping people for that.
Okay, look, as we've got a bit of time now, we've got more questions. We've got a little bit of time. So could you talk us through? Hold on, question just come through. I want to get into that, stuff. All right, we'll have to come back to it. Right. Mr. S, going for a breach contested hearing next month. X's first breach was noted in final order in March. What's likelihood judge will do anything to deter the X? Anything I should ask for as a good tactic? Good question. I think this situation is actually a good situation to pay attention to and take note.
Okay, so breach. So obviously there's been an order with a contact plan on it, and one parent has breached an element of that order, and the other parent has brought it back to court and said, I'm not happy with the breach, and I am entitled to have this order enforced by whatever it is it says. In my experience, the view of the judge on contact breaches is not as serious as it should be, is my view. Because they are fairly, I'm resisting the temptation to say they're relaxed about it, but they are fairly relaxed about it. It's they'll do the whole, well, it looks like you've breached the order here, but it's not very good, is it? Let's not do it again. Let's try and focus on the children. And that's kind of about the best you're ever going to get. And I'll draw this example. I had a case a few years ago now. It is a few years ago, where it was the father. The father was breaching. We can't get away from that. The father breached the order on half a dozen different occasions over the course of about 6 weeks. We took the matter back to court, and it took 6 months of ducking and diving, and we had about 4 different hearings before we eventually got to the hearing where the judge was going to say, I agree with this mother that this father has breached the order, or I don't. We eventually managed to get there. The problem we had, and I was very honest with my client, who was the mother, I said, look, here's our problem. The passage of time since we put this enforcement in, which is 6 months ago, will have eroded the impact of this breach. Frankly, by this point, the judge is not the least bit interested. Father has conducted himself okay since. He's not breached again. And so we're trying to get the judge to be wound up about something that happened 6 months ago. And since, the world has been fine. So unsurprisingly, when we walked into court, the judge almost said, shall we really bother with this? And we eventually sort of said, well, yeah, maybe we should. Maybe just out of the point of principle, maybe we should. And so we had 5 minutes of conversation. The judge said, well, look, it's fairly obvious that the father did breach the order on these, I think it was 5 or 6 occasions, on these 5 or 6 occasions, and that's not ideal. But since then, father's been okay. So all is well with the world. And so as part of our application 6 months prior, we had also put a cost order in. We'd also said, we believe that as a result of the fact that this father has breached, which means we've had to come back to court, we've had to pay to come into court, we would like the father to pay us back those costs, given that the only reason we're here is because of his conduct. And it might have been the other way around. It might have been a mother who'd done the breach. Anyway, so the judge said, given that 6 months has passed, and that this father has been okay. And we've used 3 other hearings prior to this final hearing to clarify points in the order, which has been really useful and really positive. I don't see that it will do anything for these proceedings if I bring a cost order. It will just ramp up the animosity again. So I'm not going to. And the comment that we made, because Mother had a barrister, which I'd supplied, so the comment the barrister made was, well, that's fine. But this mother has spent money raising an issue. It seems pretty inappropriate that the father has spent no money. He just bowled up at the hearings every day with nobody at all and babbled a lot. It seems pretty inappropriate. The mother's now carrying the can for the fact that she didn't do anything wrong. And the judge said, well, that's as maybe. And that was that. And that was that. So this is the problem with breach orders. And I appreciate, S, that is not going to be, that's not going to be exciting news for you. But breaches of contact arrangements is not the greatest priority on a judge's list. They are almost dismissive of it. What will he do to deter the mother? He'll just tell her there's an order and she should observe it.
See, the question is this: was father in the case you're talking about clearly resident parent?
No, actually, no. The mother was the resident parent. The father was just messing up with the contact plans and contact orders.
Okay. All right. So look, I think there's a positive that it goes to show that a father can get contact, and sometimes the judge can lean in cases towards the father. I would take the positive from that story, ultimately, that these things can happen.
Yeah, so that's breach. That's breach. If you're hoping that that mother's going to be flogged, that's not going to happen, I'm afraid.
I would just say stay cool and composed, highlight it to the judge, but don't push the judge on it, don't force him. Leave it with the judge and say, Judge, I'm just concerned that the rule of law and the rules and the order that this court has spent time setting out is not being adhered to and respected. My only concern is for the disregard of this court and its time. I will just put it like that personally. So it's not even about me, Judge. I'm cool. I don't care, Judge. But it's a disrespect to this establishment and you, Judge. That it's not it's disrespect to your authority. I would say trigger the judge's ego. Make it about the judge. How dare someone not listen to the judge and go against the judge? If you can draw the judge in emotionally where you trigger their ego, make him feel like they're being disrespected, that's what you need to do. That's what I would do. That's my theory anyway. That's what I would do.
That is a well-trodden tactic in family court.
Does it work? Does it work occasionally?
It depends on the judge, to be perfectly honest. Some judges are taken in by that and quite like having their egos stroked. Others are, fairly blasé to it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Right, Mr. Cosset, my bad regarding David. Guess he must have been having those retiring thoughts when we spoke. Lovely, helpful guy for sure. David would make a great guest on the live regarding DV. That's a good point.
It would, yeah. Maybe I should talk to David. No, I mean, you're right, Cossie. David's been talking about retiring for years, but I think the problem is he quite likes what he does.
I just don't listen. I think retirement is a fallacy. I think it's a fallacy. I don't think it's real. I think retirement is one of those words and those things, those dreams that they sell you so you got like a purpose or a goal to work towards. But think about it. You're going to work like a dog your whole life to get to a point where you're old, potentially your health, the best years have gone. And at that point, you're going to somehow enjoy those years doing what exactly? I don't get it. Watching Coronation Street. Like, this is a fantasy. Retirement is an illusion and a fantasy someone sold you. My point is this: it's the here and now, in the moment. Don't think, just be in the moment. Right, Mr. Ryan, I've got a question for you now. Let's go back to the.
Yes, go back to where we were. Go on.
No, we've got a bit of time. So we've got a bit of time. We've got 10 minutes. Right. So I've got, say, a fact find tomorrow. I'm going in and I'm going to be getting a very tough time. The barrister's going to come at me. They've got legal aid barristers. They're aggressive. I've had all sorts of shit thrown at me. What do you advise me? What do you do? How do you show me some of your NLP? I want to. So you're now helping me. I'm the guy. I'm going in the dock. What do you do? How do you do? Give us some pointers that we can all take.
All right. Okay. Well, my first advice to you, if it was you I was dealing with, I'd say don't go to court. Stay at home. Don't waste your time. So anyway, back to the real world. So you're going into a fact find tomorrow. There's a bit of prep. There's a bit of pre-prep which we would have done by now. Because obviously, we're on the death, so we'd have done it by now. I'd have spent a lot of time working with you on. Let me tell you the sorts of questions you're going to be asked. So I would essentially play devil's advocate. I would take their case and present their case back to you and say, this is what they're going to accuse you of. This is what they're going to say. This is what they're going to challenge you with. So we would have done that, and we'd have probably spent a couple of hours doing that, where I just essentially cross-examine you as if I was that barrister that you're going to face tomorrow. That's the first thing I do. Second thing we then do is we turn to your case and we explore your case, because the secret to successful cross-examination is know your case. Too many people enter the stand, take the oath, and then they start answering questions. And it's as if they've never seen these proceedings before in their life.
Wow.
Because they're just reeling stuff off that you think, well, where'd that come from? And the reason why this happens is because most people in proceedings rely on their solicitor or people like me to write their statement for them, to write their view for them. Consequently, it's very rare that people actually read their own statements. It's very rare that they actually are aware of what is being said about them. And this is more so with solicitors than Mackenzie Friends, because Mackenzie Friends, the process is a little bit more interactive. But with solicitors, solicitor can essentially take over the process, write your statement for you, submit it into court. You may never even see it. I liken back to a case a few years ago. Lady gets up to be cross-examined. I'm in the room. I'm looking after Dad. We start the cross-examination of Mother by saying, "Can you just turn to the first page of your statement dated ABC?" She turns to the first page, and the barrister says, "If you just want to take a minute just to sort of refresh your memory on that statement." So she's looking at it and she's staring at it, and the barrister says, "Have you had a minute now? You know, obviously you're familiar with it. So shall we crack on?" And she looks up, and bless her, she was very incredibly distressed. And she looked up and she looked at the judge and she said to the judge, "I've never read this statement before." And the judge said, "Why haven't you read the statement before?" She said, "Well, because solicitors write it." And he said, "But you're supposed to read it. It's your statement." She said, "I've never read it before." And he then said, well, okay, I'll give you a few minutes to read it. So she sits in the dock, and it gets quite embarrassing, really, mainly because her solicitors are in the room. So she sits, starts reading this statement. And as she's reading this statement, she's essentially providing a running commentary on it. So she's saying, "Oh, this comment in paragraph 2, Judge, that never happened. Oh, this comment in paragraph 5, Judge, that's not right." And she just destroyed this statement, just destroyed it. It's like, "Well, that isn't right. That never happened. That's not true. I've never said that." And so the judge had to stop the case to allow her to go and have some time with her solicitors. And her solicitors came back, and I appreciate we've wandered off a bit, but I must tell you this story. Her solicitors came back about an hour later and said to the judge, "Our client has now essentially sacked us." And she now requires time to find some more solicitors.
Oh, shit.
And so the matter was essentially put on a shelf for 4 months, whilst we waited for Mother to go and find some more solicitors and essentially start the whole case again. So that is one of the major flaws in fact finding. You walk onto the stand, which is why we work and so to make sure this doesn't happen. You walk onto the stand and you start answering questions, and it's like you've never ever seen any of this story. This is a television program you've never watched. So we spend a lot of time saying, "Right, read your statement." Now I'm going to test you on your statement. So you said this. What did you say about that? You say this happened. What did you say about that? Because I need you to know your case, because I need your case to ooze from you under cross-examination as if it is the only truth.
Wow, I love it.
And so it's a difficult process to do, and as I say, because even when it is true, and invariably, large elements of it are true, but even when it is true, because we're under pressure and we're being attacked by an aggressive barrister or whatever, and we're feeling a bit uncomfortable because we're on our own and we're very isolated, you can start to sort of say stuff that you think, well, I didn't really mean to say that. So we ensure people know the case inside and out. That is the key to good cross-examination. Know your case.
I quite like that. I'm quite impressed. I think that's quite good, guys. Think about this. Look, know your case. Ultimately, Mr. Ryan will grill you, knowing obviously with the notes and stuff he has on the opposition, he will grill you as to what the opposition would do. So you're already sort of prepared for it. You sort of have an idea of what's coming, and he tests you on your own case and your own statements. So I don't think anyone else, Mike speaks of McKinsey, see if they do that. But I think this is a good format, guys, to prepare you for your fact find, for your day in court ultimately. So yes, know your case. Good lessons there. I think some valuable lessons there. Know your case, read your statements. And again, to add to the fact that I think what happens is when people go off in a tangent in court, something which they didn't rehearse for, I presume the barrister, the opposition would trigger them, and you go off onto a tangent and you lose your, what's the word? You get triggered, you go off into a tangent, your emotions take over. So I would say another thing is practice your breathing technique, because when you get triggered, you don't realize you don't realize you've been triggered, and before you know it, you're in the middle of this tangent, coming out with all sorts. You're not in control anymore. That's why you can't lose your cool. I would say add to that, do some breathing techniques. Breathing techniques. So if you feel yourself getting excited, take those deep breaths. No rush. Count your Kit Kats and go back to neutral, and then go again. But yeah, I think that's some great advice there. Right, comment from Cossit. I think we'll start winding down, I think. Right, David has a video on YouTube regarding the Pat Craven book, which is well worth a watch, as that book often gets used by the feminists as their Bible, and David gives good perspective. Thank you, Cossit. I'll check that out. That'll be an interesting watch.
Yes, Pat, for those who don't know, and there's no reason why you should, Pat Craven is the author, the builder, the architect of the Freedom Program. And the Freedom Program is a domestic abuse course aimed at men who are, no, apologies, other way around. It's aimed at women who are victims of domestic abuse. And as I say, and Pat Craven wrote a book off the back of it, but as I say, it all revolves around the Freedom Program. I quite like the Freedom Program, actually. I think it's quite good. But yeah, so that's where that comes from. That's just the reference to Pat Craven.
No, that's good. I'll check it out, actually. If he's got a video on YouTube, I will check out Dave and see what he looks like, see what he's about. It'd be interesting. Maybe you could get him on a stream one night. Right, guys, this was another episode on Disqualified Dads with That Family Law Guy. We are here every week, 8:30 to 9:30. This stream was, I would say, short and sharp. I think we all learned a few things. But it was nice and quiet. Mr. Ryan, any final words?
It's another week is upon us, folks. Another week is starting. Those of you who are in court this week, keep your cool. Take on board the point I've just made. Know your case. Otherwise, you're just going to get slaughtered. But keep your cool. Respect the court, and the court will respect you. Ensure that you are surrounded by a good team. And I appreciate that, it's a little late in the day if you're in court tomorrow morning and you haven't got a good team around you. But, surround yourself with a good team. And that team is whatever you believe is the most appropriate in terms of, be it, Mackenzie Friends, solicitors, barristers, whatever. That is your call to make. But the court operates week in and week out, and in my view, doesn't really get any better. It still has many problems, and it's still trying its best. And I think it is trying its best to achieve a positive outcome for children, which obviously its ultimate objective, although that's not always obvious. But I think it is trying its best to achieve a positive outcome, and we are still getting positive outcomes out of the family court. So let's take some positives and take a bit of faith from that.
Yes, guys, and if you need any support and you need a team around you, please email Mr. Ryan on info@mackenziepickup.com. I shall start putting his email in the description of every live stream. So if you want to get hold of him, you want to get in touch with him, drop him an email. Also, if you want to speak to me, if you can't get hold of Mr. Ryan, you can email me on disqualified.dads@gmail.com. Yes, and never forget, you owe it to your children to do your best. So never forget, it's not about the courts, it's not about the mother, it's not about the equality and fairness, it's about the children, it's about your children, and we owe it to our children just to do our best. So do your best. Whatever happens, you walk away with your head held high. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, follow, and share, and we'll see you next week, 8:30 p.m. Sunday.
See you guys.